Yes, g'day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to BackChat. We have a very special guest on, and I know what you're all thinking. Dan's going to give him some of his best stats here. We've got one of the biggest hitters in modern-day history. Lynn joins us on the BackChat podcast. G'day, Linny. How are you, mate?
Hello, gentlemen. I'm going very well, thank you, and I'm looking forward to the next 45 to 60 minutes.
Well, it sounds like we're on the clock with the minutes here. Of course, powered by Fleet Network this year for season 2023. We're going to get into a little bit of that later on, but our very first question we asked, Linny, here at BackChat, we asked every guest the same question, first up every time. We want to know your greatest sporting achievement, not on the cricket field. We know what you've been able to do as a cricketer, mate. We've seen it. Everyone's seen it. You played for Australia. You hit sixes like no one else. We know all of that. We want to know what your greatest sporting achievement is not on the cricket field. And before you get into it, Linny, like this is very, when we get the cricketers on, we've had Marshy on, we've had Langer on, we've had Booney on. Yep. You like to share. We have Mitchell Johnson.
Well,
you like to share.
I like to, but I also don't want to make them feel bad about it.
Go on, tell Linny.
Oh, so you can see there's a cricket ball here. Everyone hates that I bring this up. It's very good. You can see there's a cricket ball here up on the table. That's from grand final match where I won player of the game, and that's the ball from the game. 5 wickets for 16 runs. Pretty good effort.
Age group?
Under 12s. Under 12s bowling leg spinners. And I was 12 as well at the time. And we didn't win the grand final though. So I did all I could. I'm sure you've had this before in your career. I did everything I had to do to win the game, but the team didn't pull through. A
couple of tweakers.
So I'm guessing it wasn't the top order, top 5. It was the bottom half.
No. I cleaned up the tail. That's for sure. Bowling high.
So what do you got
Put
for
the parachute on?
Yeah, correct.
Greatest sporting achievement outside of cricket, mate, probably, again, under 12s. Queensland Rugby League. Rugby league was my first sport as a kid, to be honest.
Really?
Well, favourite sport. So making that stateside with guys like Ben Hunt, Andrew McCulloch, James O'Connor with the Wallabies, Janamas Louis, Lauren Tassi, heap of guys that have kicked onto the NRL. And I suppose that's why, we've got such a great relationship with guys like with Brisbane Broncos and so forth. So I think that'd have to be it off the top of my head. Definitely, there's no golf stories in there.
No, but, that's impressive.
Yeah, a bit of state footy as a kid.
You've
real footy.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Just be careful what you're throwing around the words here. You're a big golfer, aren't you, mate? I mean, have you hit a hole in one?
No, I haven't. No, I'm not a big golfer. I just enjoy it. Who doesn't like having beers on a golf course, out in the sun with your mates, gets you out of the house. Active recovery, as the AFL boys like to call it. But, it's great. And from a business point of view, it's great to network, not 22 years old anymore. You want to get out there, meet new people, and there's what better way to do that than on the golf course.
Very good. Another question we've been asking, Dan, given Fleet Network are proud sponsors and partners of BackChat in 2023. Linny, what was your first car? What did you drive around with your very first car? Any special memories?
Yeah, it was a Toyota Corolla. It was $900. The sound system was about $1,800. Oh, mate, it was great. So I drive into Nudgee and collect the boarders on a weekend, try and get them out. My house, my parents, what I grew up in was a bit of a halfway house. We had a couple of city boys, so we'd always come back to mine, pick them up, or go to our mates, and there'd be 3 big Kiwi lads or 3 big PNG boys in the back with the sound system. The Toyota Corolla is like pushing its limits. But yeah, great fun and some good memories.
Did you have one of those decks that you could push the button and it would slowly tilt up? Like the Pioneer and stuff like that.
I think so.
Yeah, also come out and you put the disc in. There's so many good things with those.
Yeah, something like that. 50 Cent was pumping, the drill.
What colour was it?
Oh, mate, it was like a burnt orange. It was like the jersey behind you. It was horrible, mate.
Hey, don't knock the West Coast Orca. It's one of the, okay, I don't know what it's called. All right, Lenny, let's get into it, mate. I want to go back to the start for you, upbringing and family side of things. Your old man, he was an Australian water polo player, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So obviously when I was a junior, getting dragged along to those events, later in the evenings, and he also swum as well, and obviously comes with the territory playing water polo. So I wasn't a big fan of swimming, but I'm very grateful he threw me into into swimming early, because it's not just a sport, it's a life sport. It's a life skill. So that's something I'll be doing with my little daughter. But he loved water polo. He's got a lot of great mates. A bit like we were chatting about before. Brisbane's a small town, so you get around, and I'll actually go to the pub now, or North Devils Rugby League Club, and I hang out with all Dad's mates. Somehow they all know him. Apparently he's a decent bloke. So now I'm flying the flag for him now. But yeah, you go down to those events, and I suppose that's what's so good about sport. You get to network and you get to hang out with mates, and not only from guys my era, but obviously in Dad's era as well.
Did you play a lot of sport growing up? Was that a big part of your childhood?
Oh, huge, right? Growing up as a kid, it was rugby league, rugby union, AFL, swimming. Played water polo at school. But yeah, that's, summer, winter, always doing something. I remember one weekend I had rugby league, rugby union, and AFL, played 2 games in a day in a different code. So yeah, it's quite cool, but I think it's definitely taking a toll on my body right now, that's for sure.
Well, mate, you said you were the state league representative for Queensland under-12s, but you were the captain of that side, and you were, in the same year, the captain of the under-12s cricket team as well. So how and when do you have to make that choice between getting your head knocked off playing footy, as you would call it, and getting your head knocked off with a bat in your hand?
Well, I think I made the right decision. I'd rather face blokes at bowl 140 than tackle blokes at weigh 140. So it's pretty simple in my eyes. But no, look, I do a lot of coaching now, but I tell kids, I changed when I was 17, and that was through having an ACL surgery from a rugby league incident. So that sort of, made a decision in itself. But there's no age limit. Just play for as long as you can. If I could give one bit of advice, play for as long as you can, because I actually believe you get stronger in other sports through playing different sports, cross-training as such. You guys know all about that. It's not new. I feel like, which is why I feel I can hit the ball quite hard, and that's from my rugby league or swimming background, that you've got a strong core, nice strong base, as all the power comes from your legs. And it's no secret behind, the football codes that, again, you've got to have strong legs to compete in those games.
Yeah, right.
In your junior cricket, were you that guy, because I played with them, where they'd open the batting and open the bowling, just were the best at everything?
Nah, definitely not. I hated opening the batting. I actually only started opening the batting a couple of years ago in T20. That was it. I always liked to hide down number 4, wait till the shine was off the ball, and then come in after the openers, hopefully do their job. But as for bowling, that's overrated as well. They hurt my shoulder too much. So, just I had a motto in cricket: drive more than what you let through. So it's pretty simple. If I'm not conceding any runs with the ball, then if I make 1 or 2 with the bat, then it's a positive day.
Yeah, you're right. So that decision between rugby and cricket, do you have to make that, or you sort of your progression into cricket was pretty natural, and you felt like that, playing, spreading the love of sports? I mean, you must have had to make a choice into the professional realm.
Oh, look, it's hindsight's a wonderful thing. You can say that to pump your own tyres up, but I think at the end of the day, if I'm being honest with myself, cricket was always going to be the sport. I enjoyed actually just going to training Monday and Tuesday in cricket, because I knew it wasn't a contact session. I knew I wasn't going to get beat up on Monday or Tuesday and look forward to the skill session on Wednesday. Whereas cricket, I loved every moment of it, except, fielding and 40 degrees. That's the only part that I hated. So I was always a win the toss bat type of guy as a junior. And just to deal with it. But I think, as going back to the original question, cricket was always going to be the sport for me. And as I said, I enjoyed it from day one. And there was no, there's no real decision of, could you have made it in this or that? It's just way too hard to tell. But as I said, going back to my original point, I'd rather face blokes at bowl 140 than tackle blokes at weigh 140.
You look at guys that have played cricket maybe 10 years before you, starting in the early 2000s, and the back end of their career sort of coming to an end as you start. I sort of look at the time you've played. I mean, it's a real golden era of, especially white ball cricket, of making money, not that sort of opportunity, but real eyes on the sport. Do you feel fortunate the timing of your career? And I know that's something you can't choose, but you've had a good crack at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big thing probably why I chose cricket as well, is you look at that Australian lineup, people go, who's your favourite player? And it's so, like, rude if you only choose one of them. Like, you go through that whole list, you know, some of the guys you just spoke about, you know, Langer, Ponting, you know, Haydos, Adam Gilchrist, Shane Warne, Dizzy Gillespie, Brett Lee, you know, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, you fall in love with the sport, because you see these heroes, and it's not just one of them. You want to be these guys in the backyard. You know, every over there's a different bowler, or every time you get out, someone else comes in, and you want to be that bloke. So I'm looking up to those guys. But then, yeah, fast forward to sort of my era, mate, it's been a dream. I mean, T20s on the circuit, work smarter, not harder, with the T20 stuff. So don't have to field all day like I touched on before. But, yeah, look, it's only going to get better as well. And this is, you know, if I can be a little bit critical, some of the older players do get a bit jealous of that. But, you know, I'm not going to get jealous of the next generation as well, because of, you know, I've got a little girl. She wants to play cricket. You can't be jealous of them, of the money that they're going to make down the line. So, yeah, it's something, the game will never go backwards. The world always evolves forward. So we've seen it not only in men's cricket, but women's cricket has gone through the roof, which is great to see.
Did you, in the back end of any of their careers, did you get to play with any of those guys that you really looked up to when you were younger?
Yep. Well, with and against, it was actually probably more exciting playing against them. You know, I hit Shane Warne, the late great Shane Warne, for a boundary. He should have had me out stumped first ball, and second ball I got him. Played against Murray. First time I faced him, he got me out first ball. Second time he got me out second ball. I thought, I need to learn a sweep shot here. I don't know which way it's going. But yeah, I got him the third time. But, you know, you just can't buy that stuff as well. And what I think I did really well is, you know, be a sponge around those guys. So many guys be shy and sit in the corner. You know, yes, I do love having a beer, and obviously that era I love having a beer more than most. So, you know, that talking about the game or after the game in the change room, whether played with or against, was so important in my upbringing. And again, that's what I want to do for the juniors. You know, I had lunch with Brendan McCullum. He was on the Gold Coast last week, and he said, "What are you up to? You want to come down?" And absolutely, because that's how you learn. You know, he's the current England coach at the moment, and it's keeping those relationships, you know, at the forefront of your mind, I think is so important in the game, and you never know where that will take you.
You come into the Brisbane Heat lineup in 2011, so you're a pretty young bloke then. Have you got memories of? I'm assuming there was some, you know, stars in that side above you. Have you got locker room memories or playing memories of some of those early days?
Yeah, well, so the first ever Big Bash game, Brendan McCullum, that was the game where Brett Lee smashed his nose in.
Wow.
And I might have been next in the bat. So I was rattled. I was like, man, my hero's just been smashed by Binger. And I'm walking in next. And I actually walked out with my training top on as well, because they looked exactly the same, minus the name and number. I'm like, oh, I better stinker. Absolutely. I'm like, man, just get me off this field. Like, I mean, it's 2011. I shit myself at the best of times. And, yeah, but that was a great memory. And then off field after that, Darren Lynn was the coach. We're at that Ivy Pool Bar, which is a well-known joint in Sydney, and I just remember Buff just pretending to be Michael Klim in his jocks in the Ivy Pool Bar in the nightclub at midnight, and I just thought, how good's the Big Bash? And then after that, the rest is history.
Oh, that's that good. Buff Lehman do a butterfly down the middle of the Ivy. Did it actually happen?
Michael Klim. Oh, mate, that's 100% true story.
Oh, shit, that's so loose.
Yeah,
oh,
so fun.
How many did you make when you walked out in that first inning? How much? Do you remember how many you made?
Oh, mate, it would have been maybe more than 5, but less than 15.
Just a quick fire, get me out of there. At least make a couple of runs so I get criticised and get me off the field.
Do something, yeah.
Very good.
Anyway, but yeah, that's where the Big Bash kicked off, and look, it's been a revelation since. And I think what you'll see over the next couple of years of the Big Bash as well, the Players Association working with Cricket Australia and the media companies, Fox and Seven, we're going to have even better product over the next couple of years. Yeah,
I think that's exciting. It's going to be really the game. So you play some years in domestic competitions. You make your international debut against England, Hobart, 2014. You make 33 off 19 in this one. Do you remember representing your country for the first time?
Yep. Obviously, like that's probably my biggest on-field memory or greatest achievement. Anytime you want to play for Australia or make your debut is always special. Rod Marsh, another legend of the game, presented my cap. And, down in Hobart, quite a chilly night. I think Australia, they hadn't lost a game that whole series, whether it be test matches one day as in the 2020s, they might have lost one the whole series. So that was pretty cool. What I do remember of that game, I hit a couple of sixes. Our family was down. It was great. But I think, what did I get? 33 off 17 or 19. I should have been 37. I hit another 4 and he called it leg by. So I was filthy about that as a batsman. It's like anything, get off the mark. Like if you just smash your pad or whatever, runs are so valuable because there's few and far days between.
On YouTube, you're a bit of a highlight machine, mate. So you get lost in the Chris Lynn highlight department on YouTube. Do you watch your own? Do you sometimes jump on YouTube and watch your own highlights?
Look, I'll be lying if I said no. I'm an honest bloke. Mate, everyone does, but that's the beauty of social media. You get tagged and all that stuff, a couple of times a day, whether it's something spectacular or something really dumb. It's all out there. And having played in the Indian Premier League for a couple of seasons, they remind you of everything, but they're also great as well. They love the game of cricket. They're absolutely mad for it. And, it's a good time of year to get over there, especially when the IPL's on, like right now.
Dan, I mean, you're known for, I think predominantly for your big hitting nature and what you've been able to do at international level. But Dan literally said Chris Lynn has taken the best catch I have ever seen. Is that correct, Dan?
I said one of the best I've ever seen.
The best catch.
Yeah, one of the best catch I've ever seen. It was very good. That was when you were at the Calcutta, is it the Knights?
Yeah, Calcutta Knight Riders. So I remember that game as well. It was my debut for Calcutta. That was that game actually. That was my third game that I was facing Murali. So I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a successful debut. He's already knocked me over twice in 3 balls. But I worked out the sweep shot and it was at Sharjah, quite a small ground. I remember hitting my first ball or an early ball off Murali for 6 and his head was still up on the scoreboard and it literally hit him straight in the nose and the ball rolled back to him on the field. It was just quite funny. His head was on the big screen and just, straight into it. I got to bat with Jacques Callis. Which was a great memory. In my opinion, he's the greatest cricketer that's ever lived, bat, ball and in the field. And then, in the field, it was really dewy. It was so wet out there, and I'm on the boundary. A.B. de Villiers is batting. I think they need like 6 off 2, and he's hit this ball. He's hit it through, and I've slipped over. I was going, oh, fuck, this is my first and last game for Kolkata. Anyway, I somehow managed off my knees to go over my head and stay in the field of play. And, again, social media, what does the rounds and what you get tagged in most days, that's probably number one.
Yeah, it was really good.
So you fell over. Sorry, you fell over on the way.
Yeah, I slipped over because it hit it straight in the light. So I went charging and then, went to put the brakes on. I've overrun it and then on my back and, went up. Have a look at it. It's so weird how I get in that position. Like I should have just caught it on my chest, like taking the piss on.
Just
a token run of the mill straight down the guts and you fall over.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
One of the good things about your highlights as well, the commentary gets so excited. So like you wouldn't hear that obviously if you're just when you're playing. So you've got to go back and watch them so you hear the how up and about the commentators get. Yeah,
well, you know what, and this might be a bit more on a serious note. When you haven't played in a while, a lot of guys go back and watch a lot of footage, and I do that. So I'm heading to England in 3 weeks' time. I haven't played a game since mid-Feb. I'm going to actually go watch my highlights from my last season in the Blast, just to memorise, visualise, go back and actually say you still got that skill. Just because you haven't played in a few weeks doesn't mean you lose that skill. And just, give yourself a little pump up. And it's not arrogant in any way, but that's something that I like to do and get back in the zone. You get that buzz back that you want to be the man on the field with the bat in hand and do something special. And, it's pretty cool.
Staying on the serious side then, look, I look at cricket, never played it well, never played at any high level, but it certainly seems like a real mental game. Clearly, guys at the top level like yourself, you've got high levels of talent, but you got to be able to do that regularly and consistently. Like, how much is that visualization and the belief and the confidence levels? Like, how much does that play a part? Do you think it plays a bigger part in cricket than it does other sports?
I I can't speak to the other sports, but I do know the other sports that the planning and visualizing and the footage that the video sessions that you do. It's just the more you prepare, I guess, the easier the game is. And yes, that's easy to say, but you go out there and you go out and have fun. You've already done the work, knowing that you're not, nervous in any way, or you don't go to plan B if plan A doesn't work. You stick to your plan A. But I find in cricket, maybe, okay, fair question, because if I go duck, am I going to shit the bed again on the third innings? Trust your processes, as they say, and it's that mental strength to really go again, to trust your skill rather than going away in search for a plan. We look at guys like Glenn Maxwell. We see him play the reverse sweeps, and he absolutely nails them. He gets out playing the reverse sweep as well. But, the thought process to go into that, there's a big, strategy or method to his madness as such. It's not just, trying to whack the ball for six or put on a show for the crowd. There's so much thought that goes into it. And as I said, he's done the work in the nets the day before. I don't play those shots because I'd rather just stick to my strengths and do what I know. But yeah, look, as I said, you can't speak to the other sports, but regardless if it's sport or even in any industry, finance or building, the planning that they do to get an outcome is through the roof if you want to be successful.
I spoke to Mitch Marsh on this podcast about him changing his mindset to a more aggressive one coming into the T20 World Cup, and he goes and has that big game in the World Cup decider. Does that play a part for you, especially opening now over the last couple of years? Do you have to be aggressive, like both physically and mentally?
Definitely. I think the biggest thing for me is not having that fear of failure. We talk about the consistency. Yes, you can. I've always known to have a big innings and go missing for a couple, but that's a style of play. I'm sort of consistent but inconsistent. Consistent with what happens over a season because it always goes like that. Whereas the last couple of seasons, I probably haven't had that. I probably played with more fear. And scared of getting out nice and early and been more consistent, but my strike rate hasn't been as high. So I suppose you can look at it two ways. You want to be more consistent with the bat each game, or in my thinking, and a lot of other T20 specialists, they would rather have a match-winning knock every 3 or 4 innings and have it like not just a 30 or 40, that's okay. I'd rather go 75 every third or fourth games and actually put a win on the board through a single performance.
With staying on some of the mental and like thought process, even with playing shots, you know a lot of your highlights have you hitting multiple sixes in a row. After you've hit like 2 or 3, are you already deciding the next one's going to go for 6? I know it's like, I don't know, the cliche of like one ball at a time and you just take it as it comes. Are you like, when you're on a roll, you just going, I'm going for it?
Yeah, look, some days you do. Some days you think, why the hell did I do that? Because you've already got 12 or 13 or 15 off the over. But I suppose the older you get more experienced. And what I found is you just read the situation of the game. So one thing, that I told the boys down in Adelaide this year, just ask yourself the question, what does the team need from me right now? And if you always put that team mentality first, we might be behind the rate, or this might be my matchup. The team might need 5 sixes out of me in that over. Rather than 2 and then get a single, get down the other end, take on that over. Or it might be hit a 6 first ball and then just go 5 singles for the rest of it. So if you ask yourself that question, and that's what I try and do more and more, and I know the answer to it straight away. If you put the team first, it's pretty simple. Whereas previous days, it was, young, dumb, careless, reckless, try and whack the ball. But the more games you play, the more footage there is, they know where to bowl or shut you down. So you've actually got to use a brain sometimes.
What question did you ask yourself when Ben Hilfenhaus was coming down to you at the MCG?
I remember. Well, do you know what happened the first ball?
What?
So the first ball is bowled at like hard length and it's hit the splice of the bat. And I thought, oh, man, I've got to get him before he gets me. So I just thought, all right, next ball, I'm going to go and go and go. And it was a freezing cold night as well. So I wasn't really in a mood to just block and sort of nudge it round. Also, I do remember that game, we had to score about 260. We had to win with a huge bonus point. So we had to, we had nothing to lose basically and have a bit of fun.
So you hit 5 sixes in a row off after you've copped a little sweetener up in the rib cage. You've hit 5 sixes.
Oh no, it didn't hit me in the rib cage, but I just remember it just bounced a fair bit and hit the splice of the bat like a lot higher up than I thought. And I just thought, man, what am I doing? Don't block the ball, just get on with it. Batsmen are out there to score runs, not survive. So take it on. And a big message in that was just not get too far ahead. At one ball at a time, as Dan said. Keep your head still, swing hard, but we had these big monster bats, and why not use it?
You must have been seeing it absolutely beautifully to be hitting 5 sixes in a row. He's a good bowler. Yeah, he's a gun hill. I got so much time for him. Such an awesome bloke as well, and it's just one of those things. When you're in, you're in. Go big, and it worked for me that night. I listened to the commentary back. Howie certainly loved it.
Yeah, they're
he's up and about. So I suppose at that point in my career, I was all about, trying to make those big headlines, big statements, not be as consistent, with my run of performances, but, have some talking points and career highlights.
I was talking about career highlights, coming up against the Wild Thing, Sean Tate. Dispatched him out of your home, the Gabba. You literally hit him out of the ground. Yeah. So the Wild Thing, he's steaming in. And why is it called the Wild Thing? Because he doesn't know where they're going. So how am I supposed to know where they're going? But generally, most bowlers first ball is try and hit the top of off. So I'm thinking, come on, Tatey, just try and hit the top of off, because I've got to try and swing before you let the ball go, because you bowl that fast, mate. And again, I've got this big bat in my hand. It's the first ball of his spell. I'm thinking, if I can rattle him early here, I'll have the wood over him, and then I can just maybe manipulate the over. And then I think halfway down, I've got the ball I wanted. I've swung hard. I've connected. I actually thought I hit it straight up. That's how it felt off the bat, and then kept going. And I thought that was pretty good. And I'm batting with Brendan McCullum. I thought, hey, just like, not bad. I was like, not bad. They give me more than they give me something. And saying that though, we still needed another 100 to win the game. So team first mentality, as I mentioned, win the game, and then we celebrate and talk about the fun stuff.
Did you feel that hit the bat at all? Like in my very limited cricket, like if you hit
tell us about.
I'm just saying, if you hit that spot, you don't even feel it hit the bat, like, because it's just like right in the middle.
Well, I actually don't think it hit right in the middle, if I'm being completely honest. No, I just had, as I said, I was ready to swing the bat before he let the ball go, and then just follow through with it. But yeah, no, Tatey, mate, he's such a good man. He come in the change room. We had the best laugh after the game in the change room, and we just talk about that stuff. But the look on his face when he was walking back to the mark, he was like, mate, what do you do? It's like you just get on with it. That's why you play the game, I guess. But no, very good memory, and that's another one that's helped put me on the map. I'm probably due to do something cool again soon, because I reckon it's been a couple of years.
Good. Hit a few more out of the stadium. That's great. It's something that I'm little bit of jealousy. I love having a beer as well. Shelters usually my drink of choice. Look, I think cricket. Again, you won't be able to answer how other sports do it, but like you guys, you have the opportunity to sit down and have a beer with the opposition, and it sounds like it does happen pretty regularly. I mean, it's a pretty cool part of the sport.
Oh, it's the best. That's the reason why I play the game, to sing the team song after with a beer in hand, not a water, like the AFL fellas. Sing the team song, but I actually believe that's where you learn the most about the game. Whether we have a rule, whoever wins, the losing team has to come into your change room, or vice versa. And that's where you learn the most, I believe. And putting yourself out there as a youngster, when you do make your domestic debut or international debut, don't be shy. Get out there. Go say good day to, whoever got you out, or, whoever bowled at you for a long period of time. What were you thinking at that time, or how are you going to get me out, or vice versa again, how was I thinking to score a few things like that. And, the greats of the game, they offer their time and their services over a beer. They love sharing their content, their data, everything that they've learned. And that's what I think is so special about Australian sport.
How rowdy? Like, what's the rowdiest it's got back there? Like, how like, are we just talking, a couple of beers off the wood, or are we talking
Going to
like
midnight?
10 to 20 beers and then lock the doors type?
So when we're singing the team song, we probably go through about 2 cartons of 4X. Not a lot gets consumed, but it's sort of a bit of carry on from the boys. But no, like, it depends. It depends on everyone's schedule. Obviously, it was much harder the last couple of years with the COVID stuff. But yeah, previous to that, or even now, if you don't have an early flight in the morning, blokes will happily stay in the change room. You go out now, there's phone and cameras and all that stuff, whereas you can just lock into the change room. And as I said, it all depending on the schedule or your mates as well. Some with the international players, coming to the Big Bash or wherever, coming and going. They might be some of your best mates as well. So you don't want to waste an opportunity to have a drink and catch up with them. So again, it's all part of the game that I absolutely love.
Is there any stories like Darren Lehman jumping in like Michael Klim that you can share with us from perhaps some experience after a game with any players that spring to mind? I know I put on your spot a little bit, but I'm just always interested in what actually happens behind those closed doors. Like, what are you blokes doing in there?
Oh, that's behind closed doors. Look, there was a moment, another Darren Lehman moment. He won't mind me sharing it. We called him Krusty Demon Lehman for a while there.
Why?
Some bloke rode his bike to the Sheffield Shield final on day 4. And the game was in the mix, but we were always going to stay after a final at the Gabba. And then somewhere we've made a ramp on the Gabba, and it was quite wet. So buffs flying on the bike, and the bike slips, and he doesn't even go over the ramp. He hits the ramp that hard. Broken a couple of ribs and whatnot, but yeah, Krusty Demon Lehman, and we thought that was very good.
Was that on the Gabba? Like on the...
No, not on the square, just on the boundary rope, I think we were using an advertising board or something. I think we had a carton of gold underneath the advertising board, made it like a ramp, and you can work out the rest.
That's unreal.
I don't think I've ever heard or seen it televised, a cricket team song. Like, it's such a big deal in footy. I don't know about rugby. I don't know what they do over there. But in AFL, like, the post-game match stuff will stop because they got to go into the rooms and hear them sing the song. I don't think I've ever seen cricketers sing a song.
No, yeah, spot on there. I guess they don't really do the change room interviews anymore. I think, whether that's just what they want out of the product from Seven or Fox. But, yeah, you don't really see too many interviews pre-game either. It's generally out in the field now. It's not really a tradition, I suppose, in the cricket world like the AFL is. But I'm okay with that. As you said, the inner sanctum is a special place to be, and I think they should only be allowed certain times to have the access because, as I said, players want to get to that level to earn the right to have that access in the inner sanctum. I think that's pretty special.
What's your preparation like for games, Linny? What do? You sit down and have a couple of waters and make sure you're carbo loaded, or what are you doing before?
Well, it depends. Depends how many runs you got under your belt, previous games. Depends, whatever. I'll be honest. I've played games that I've been hungover, and I've gone out and brained them. I've had games where I've had the best preparation and gone out and got 0. I'm not saying do one or the other. It's totally up to you. And everyone, computer works a little bit differently, but it depends on your environment and what you're comfortable with as well. If you're in a young environment, you try and you obviously do the right thing and be a role model. If you've got a slightly more experienced environment, like some of the IPL teams, you don't mind having a beer or a wine over dinner and preparing that way. Some guys get very nervous the night before games, so it actually helps them, go to sleep at night. With the games being at 8 o'clock at night, in some venues, I normally go to sleep at 8 p.m. myself, so I've got to try and either stay up a little bit later the night before or go to bed real early and get another nap in during the day. So everyone's different, but mate, I'm pretty chilled. I don't have a set routine, but the one rule: before 12, your time; after 12, team time.
Okay, very good. Like that.
Yeah, that's good. Actually,
Happy with that, man.
I like it.
I
might do that myself.
I've heard some pre-game rules, and often revolves around the opposite sex. We won't get into those, but that's the sort of rules I've heard before footy games. Many others, and make sure you get your pasta into Gatorades. Right. I wouldn't say there's too much opportunity to be playing hungover in footy. 15 kilometres running around at high speeds, you'd probably be throwing up quite a bit. Now,
mate, I hit a cricket ball, mate. I might hit 4 balls and field a short fine leg, so it's pretty quite contrasting.
Short fine leg. Lynn's just the ball's not going to go there. I'm just going to stand there. Now, Lynn, would it be fair to say that? You're a pioneer in really forging a career as a white ball cricketer. Playing multiple teams, international cricket, given the IPL surge. As you're coming into the game, like, do you see yourself as that?
Yeah, a little bit. I suppose for someone that that was 5 years ago now. No one did it mid-career from Australia. I was sort of the first to do that. A lot of guys like your Shane Watsons and whatnot. Retired from, they've obviously played a truckload of test cricket, ODI cricket for Australia, and then you just, smooth that down to just T20 cricket. But I suppose I chose the T20 pathway much younger than the rest. And don't get me wrong, I copped a lot of flack about it because my numbers in 4-day cricket are actually not too bad, but just the thought of losing the toss and fielding for 2 days absolutely killed me. And I did have a couple of shoulder recons as well, which didn't help. And I think the worst feeling in the world was I could play sort of 2 or 3 days, but I couldn't get through the other 1 or 2 days as well. And knowing that you're letting your teammates down with a sore bum shoulder is not a great feeling. So you're happy to play through a bit of pain, but when it's sort of reoccurring all the time, and with the opportunity of T20, what it is now, that's what I'm grateful for, just that pathway. I suppose the biggest thing is actually being committed and genuine and authentic to my decision, not going back and forth through 1-day cricket or longer format cricket. Just stick to my guns. And yes, it does get a bit lonely at times. Yeah, you're playing all these teams, but actually now I'm not in Brisbane, or don't play for the Brisbane Heat. I actually don't have a team here in Brisbane that I play with. So everyone thinks it's all these bells and whistles. Yeah, it's money and you fly around, this and that. So I can tell you now it's nearly a complete opposite of that because, you're on the road a lot and you don't have, you go your own strengths work, your own sort of dietitian or physio. You don't have that team environment, which is what we love as athletes, is being in a team environment, having fun and whatnot. So, saying that, I've had some great days. There's no better feeling than getting home to your family away from a team environment, or not having to go to a Monday morning session just to do skin folds. I can just sit at home and train whenever I want. So there are pros and cons to it all, but I've absolutely loved it.
Did you have to give up on a dream to play Test cricket for Australia? Like, was that a dream of yours?
Oh, it definitely was, but I was pretty realistic with myself as well. I was slowly going down the pecking order, but my love for the longer format did decrease as well. So I didn't want to do something if my heart wasn't in it. I think that was really important, and I knew that when I was there was a game at the Gabba. I got about 80 odd in the second innings. I was trying to set a total, and I got caught on 87, and there was 9 fielders on the fence in a Shield game in day 3. I was like, I just could have hit 13 singles, had the easiest century of my life. I think I've only faced about 50 balls at the time, but I was like, no, I'll just get it done in 2.5 balls. I was bringing up a couple of sixes and a single, that'll do. But that's sort of when I knew that this is, my love for the longer format wasn't there. But going back when I first started, of course you want to play for Australia, but I'm just realistic.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy watching Test cricket?
I actually enjoy watching day-night Test cricket. In that twilight time happens when there's a bit on. I really love watching England play cricket at the moment, the way they're going about things, more so when they're batting. But for me, it's probably just more about watching, different personalities bat. When Mitch Marsh is at the crease, something's going to happen. He's such a gun. Glenn Maxwell's the same when he gets his opportunity in the Test era. Guys like Ben Stokes, Ben Duckett, these guys are taking the game on in a longer format, and I think it's great to see.
Do you think that's sort of where Test cricket's going? Because I mean, apparently, England are revitalising batting in Test cricket, and they're just sort of really going for it.
Bazball.
Yeah, is that where Test cricket's going? A lot of people, I mean, the chatter around recently has been that Test cricket sort of lost its sort of shine for various reasons. But do you think it needs to progress for people to stay interested?
Well, it's a win-win. So we talk about the Bazball scenario, and he absolutely hates that term, by the way. The viewer loves it, but they also hate it because it only goes for 3 days. What do they do with the other 2 days? Yeah. Same for administration. They lose out on 2 days of money making. So which one do you want? But, we've got the Ashes coming up in a month or so's time. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait for it. You've got Bazball against Hazelwood, Cummins, Starkey, Gazza-Line. That's going to be absolutely epic. So I'm actually going to be over in England at the time, so I'm going to be glued to the TV or in the stands watching. And I think that's going to be a real test of England's character and also Australia, because we're talking about Plan A, Plan B before. Australia's got to stick to Plan A, even if they might be known for 150 in the first session. That's not what Australia normally come up against. But it's going to be a great challenge. It's going to be great viewing.
Lenny, just touching back on the I know you're not lonely and you've got no mates, but the loneliness factor and the individual nature of a team sport, like given what I guess you've chased effectively, like read out the teams you played for, like Queensland State team, Brisbane Heat, Deccan Chargers, however you say that name, the Sunrisers of Hyper, Kolkata Knight Riders, the Jamaican Talawars, the Gona Amazon Warriors, Kelowna Titans, Trinbago Knight Riders, Lahore Quandas, St Kitts and Nevis Patriots, Mumbai Indians, Molten Sultans. Molten Sultans is very good. The Northamptonshire Steelbacks. Holy shit. Adelaide Strike, the Golf Giants. I mean, you've played for some teams, mate. You've seen some people. Yeah. There's an individual nature to it, isn't there?
Yeah, so you'd like to think I've got one or two mates around the world.
Yeah.
I suppose, it's and that's what I love about the T20 pathway that I've chosen. You get to meet so many people, not from my era, but the previous era, whether they be coaches or commentators. Guys, one or two or three teams generally stay in the same hotel, so you get to not only play against them, but you're at the bar with them or having dinner with them or breakfast, and understanding that they're normal human beings as well. When you're 19 or 20, when I shit myself meeting these guys, just understand, getting this through your mind that they're normal human beings. And the quicker you learn that, the more success you have at an earlier age, I believe.
How does it go from a scheduling point of view? You're playing with all these teams. You're also holding, I'm sure, a Cricket Australia contract. Like, how does that go, fitting all of that in? And, do you have crossover? How does that all work from your point of view?
So no Cricket Australia contract for me. I did for a couple of years there but I suppose when you are contracted to Cricket Australia, you obviously that's priority. Whatever Aussie series is coming up, that's priority, and preparation is priority there. But the last few years, I haven't had that, so I can basically sign up to any competition around the world, or get picked up in a draft or an auction. And that's the biggest thing. They're mainly only 1 year contracts, so you've actually got to perform in that series or tournament. Otherwise, you'll run the risk of not getting picked up the next year. Yeah. But I actually kind of prefer that because it keeps you on the game. You train hard, you're motivated, you're disciplined, all those things that are drilled into you. Otherwise, and I do admit I had a 5-year deal at Brisbane Heat. I got complacent for a couple of years there. Because you're still going to be there next year, and I reckon I'm not the only player that's had a long-term contract that does go to sleep for a couple of years, and It's not through lack of effort, but you're not there 100%, I believe. And as I said, I'd like to pride myself on being brutally honest, and it wasn't good enough from if I was a CEO or a coach at the time, it wasn't good enough from my point of view. Yeah,
I mean, that's not. I would say that's not solely to cricket. I mean, there's a lot of speculation.
No, it's
the same
absolutely
thing. So you like for a better term, it's a lack of security, really. I mean, you're going from tournament to tournament, team to team, and if you don't perform, if you have 3 or 4 bad tournaments in a row, you're out of a job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But for all my coaches out there listening, I wouldn't mind another 5-year contract. But no, it just does keep you a little bit sharper. But it's just it's all part of the journey. Everyone goes through it. As you said, it doesn't just happen in cricket. I've seen it in AFL and rugby league. Been saying that, the opposition are allowed to work you out as well. So, again, it might not be through lack of effort or training. Teams, you're allowed to get good balls some days. Some days you hit it straight up and they catch it. There might be a couple of drop catches when you have a successful season. So there's more ways to skin a cat than, just falling asleep.
Talk to us about the Indian Premier League, mate. Let's spend a bit of time on India. I mean, just a huge fan base, but the experience of playing that for your first time and the auction, how does all that work? I mean, maybe focus in on the fan side of things. How good is it over there?
Oh, mate, it's like AFL Grand Final week for the 8 weeks. If I can put it in simple terms, it's absolutely mad. It's cricket on steroids. But what it has done, it's changed. When I first went there about 11 years ago now, it used to be play then party heaps, but they probably stopped about after the first year I was there, probably stopped 3 years after that, and it's fully serious now, fully committed. When T20 cricket hit the market, it was hit and giggle. That was the term used. Now it's a business. There's so much money involved, whether that be from a franchise team owner, whether it might be from guys punting on it, and it's blokes' careers as well. Blokes are making a career out of it. So there's so much on the line now that it is full-time, 100% a business.
That first part of your IPL career, you're on lists and you're bouncing around. You didn't play a lot of games. You played 1 or 2 games in your first 3 years. Is that what's the process there? Are you on a list and getting paid a wage and you're basically a reserve, or what's happening?
So Buff picked me up when I was maybe a 19-year-old at the Deccan Chargers. Played 1 game in 2 years. The guys in front of me were Kumar Sangakkara, JP Domini, Cameron White, Dale Stain. I'm not playing ahead of these guys unless we're bottom. I got my one opportunity because we couldn't make the finals. I just got the last game of the tournament. It's like, Buff, I've been on the piss for 6 weeks and you throw me in the last game. Come on, mate. I knew I wasn't going to play, so I was just training and then just doing socialising. But yeah, now there's so much more rotation in the modern game, whereas back then they had their set 4 overseas players because you could only play 4 at the time. So it's whatever you want to get out of it, you can get out of it. If you want to train, work hard, which I did, but I also got the social side of things, out of it as well, because India can be tough if you're there for, longer than 8 weeks, especially being 19, not acclimatised to the food, the drinking out bottles of water, brushing your teeth with bottles of water. That was all new to me. So it took a while for me to adjust and spend a few days on the toilet here and there, but it's all part, as I said, it's all part of the journey. And getting to mix with the greats of the game, that's one thing I absolutely loved, and they're some of my best mates now.
Did you come across, I mean, you must have come across some crazy wealth over there. You hear about wealth disparity and stuff like that. But some of these team owners and stuff, did you get invited along to some, crazy houses that you would have visited with the team?
Yeah, so the Kolkata Knight Riders owner, Shah Rukh Khan, so he's the #1 Bollywood actor. Again, just another normal person. He didn't care if we win or lose, just all about attitude. You commit, you do, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. And in T20 cricket, more likely than not, you lose by 5 or 10 runs, bugger all, 1 or 2 deliveries. So he was such a normal person. If we had a bad day, he would come in, give you a pat on the back and say, don't worry about it, keep moving forward. And then when Mumbai Indians, they're owned by the Akash Ambani family, which are the wealthiest family in India, basically run India. Great people as well, and their house is 20 stories high. They've got a traffic controller at the top of it. But again, normal people. Yes, they got a lot of dough, and it's quite funny. Like he said to him, he's a mad. I think it's Arsenal or Liverpool, one of those. He goes, I really wanted to buy Arsenal. He goes, why didn't you buy it? He goes, Mum wouldn't let me. I just thought that was absolutely gold. But again, normal people, treat people how you want to be treated, regardless of how much cash you got or not. But it was really special to, or really privileged to be a part of those change rooms and as you said, be lucky enough to be invited into their home. You know, they get swarmed over there in that Indian culture, and for someone like the little kid from Brisbane to be invited is pretty cool.
What are the fans like specifically? Like, it looks pretty crazy over there, but what's it like as a player? Like, you got any stories of? Like, you're an absolute superstar over there, right? You're a superstar here, mind you.
The guys I play with are like, you go out for lunch with Glenn Maxwell or Dale Stain, we'll just go into a Subway, and we'll go in there and turn around. There'll be 400 people in the matter of 4 minutes. You know, so the security guard ends up locking the door and things like that. We'll get our Subway, have our meal, and away you go. And, mate, it's pretty cool. I suppose it's very humbling as well. You got to learn patience over there in a good way. You know, they're just mad for cricket. They know my stats better than I know my stats, and they remember all these great memories, you know, which we might vaguely remember. They just absolutely love the sport. But without them, we don't have the game what it is today. So it's pretty cool. You know, another family, the Adani family, they own the Golf Giants, who I just come back from Dubai with, and another great family opening up. They obviously cop a lot of flack with what's going on, but they also do a lot of good things in the world. And people, I suppose our nature, we're so quick to hit the negative narrative of you know, whether it's a company or a person. Whereas something that I'm trying to do lately is just flip that on its head and let's actually see the good in people, or, you know, make the conversation, whatever it is, a positive narrative.
Yeah, that's cool. You certainly don't get to see it inside like you have either. Like, I mean, we're just sitting watching, and you read what the newspapers say, but
that's right.
And look at it. What about the auction process, Lynn? I mean, you've gone for some pretty staggering amounts. 2018 jumps off the page, almost $1.9 million at auction. What's that process like? I assume it's not like the AFL draft where they invite or is it? Like, do you get to go to them, or are you copping feedback from Australia? Where are you in these things?
So I've been in Australia the whole time. So I think, I was on a 4-year deal with Kolkata. Maybe 270, 280 or something. Not that's nothing to scratch your nose at, by the way. I was over the moon. And then I had a really good year, and then the auction come around. I was actually playing a game at the Gabba, a semi-final, Brisbane Heat versus Melbourne Renegades, and I had it on my live stream on my phone, and I'm going and I'm doing an interview, and I hear Brendan McCullum's, and while I'm doing the interview with Howie behind the nets as we walk in, I can hear Brendan McCullum's name come out. I knew he was 1 or 2 before me, so I'm listening to Baz's price go through the roof, and I'm like, I'm up, and then I go into the stadium, and the security guard takes my phone. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm about to. So I'm in there, and I start padding up to warm up, and the coaches or managers allowed their phone, so they were actually watching it, and it was just going nuts. I'm thinking, what like, don't, they're taking the piss. Like, these boys are just G'ing me up. And then, hit that number, and it was over the moon. And, you know, it's life-changing. You know, there's no denying that. And that's the opportunity that the IPL has provided, and cricket has provided. So you're always grateful for that opportunity. But I just remember warming up in the nets, and I was like shaking. Like, I was just getting these, you know, pretty easy half volleys, and I was just shaking. I'm like, mate, we've got a semi-final, like, fucking head in the game. Like, you're worried about this thing, and while I'm fielding, you got the mic on, going back up to the commentators. That's all they wanted to talk about. I'm like, I'm so like conflicting interests here. Yes, that's awesome, but shit, I need to win this game for Brisbane. But yeah, like it's a, you know, it's another viewing opportunity for cricket, you know, to get new eyeballs, to grow the game. I've always said that's one thing that I want to do, regardless if kids want to play first grade, play domestic cricket, play for Australia. How do we grow the game? And I think we're doing a really good job of that at the moment. And it's, as you can see through women's cricket, it's flying. So I think the IPL's, you know, been huge from that.
Oh, I know. People look at cricket and they think, oh, he's standing around doing fuck all in the field. But in fairness, it's a part of the game, and you are performing. And like you tell that story about being in a semi-final and they got you mic'd up. You know, what is that like? Like, you still need to concentrate. I do realise there's opportunities to have a chat, but like I've seen you do it brilliantly, right? You're mic'd up and you have a chatting away, and then the ball's coming down. Like, you need to be switched on. What's it?
Oh, I actually love it because it makes the 20 overs in the field go that much quicker. But yeah, you're right. Like I feel a short, fine leg. Hopefully the ball doesn't come to me, but it does come to you sometimes. So you've got to be switched on. A bit like when you're batting. I don't really like wearing the mic when I'm batting because you only get one opportunity. I nick the ball or get clean bowled, I'm off. Whereas in the field, your job at cat's isn't as bad, as a duck, but it's all part of the entertainment package. And how do we grow the game? How do we get more eyeballs watching the TV? And I think nowadays you've got to have more layers than just trying to hit a cricket ball or bowl the ball. You've got to have some skills with the mic or communication with kids or sign autographs after the game and build those relationships. Gone are the days now where you can just hit the ball, go off and hide in the change room.
You got anything to finish Lenny off with? I've got what I want to finish with.
No, let's go to that and then
Okay, great. Now, you're still playing, obviously, so you speak about individually training and looking after yourself and preparing all that sort of thing. But, cricket won't last forever. You won't play till you're 60 years old. What do you do in other spaces outside of cricket, mate, that we can tell our listeners about and what sort of things are you doing?
So I've got a business called Playbook, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. So it's an online booking platform, basically, for all sports, all ages, all abilities. I've always said that, the game of cricket doesn't owe me anything. I owe the game of cricket. And now I got coached by a lot of great coaches and quality coaches when I was a young kid, but I was very lucky. Some kids don't get that same access to coaching. So bringing out Playbook with it's awesome. It's my baby. I'm passionate about it. We currently sit at about 550 coaches Australia-wide.
Wow.
In 27 different sports. So giving back to the game, not only the game, the community or the sporting world is something, as I said, I'm passionate about. Actually, the best session I've ever done is an online mentoring session with this kid, and this kid's non-verbal, and he would ask his brother the question, and his brother would ask me, and after 27 minutes in the 30-minute session, this kid was chatting to me, and his mum's in the background crying in tears because she spent so much on therapy and whatnot. But that was something I was most proud of. We're at Playbook, we're about giving kids confidence. Whether you want to be a winger and move to the centres, whether you want to go from being a ruckman to full forward, whether you just want to have the confidence to walk in and play a team sport, with confidence you can do whatever you want. So that's something that I'm really proud about, and hopefully can find a lot more kids like him and give him that confidence. Now he's going to big bash games, yelling out, carrying on like we all do, and that made me feel really special, and that's something, as I said, I'm passionate about to give back. So yeah, we're growing. As I said, we've got 550 coaches. We want to have 5,050, all around Australia. We're going to turn this into something epic and move the stagnant position of private coaching and mentoring into a professional, database.
Sounds unreal, mate.
Yeah, bloody good sell.
I'll be really good. I mean, I think I'm going to be signing up as a coach. I actually am. How can people get involved with that, mate? Your kids or parents or business owners download an app, I'm assuming?
Yep. So we're working on the app. It's currently a mobile website, but the app's only a couple of weeks away. Playbook.coach it is. Reach out either to their Instagram, to my Instagram, Lenny_50. Whoever, and someone from the office or myself will get in touch. Look, as I said, I'm passionate about it. I'm not just the face of the business. I love working in that space. So, a lot of businesses just think, he's the face of it here and there. I love getting into the office, communicating, again, networking, not with just businessmen, but with the young kids of the future. But as I said, all ages, all abilities. Here we are.
Very awesome. Good, mate. It sounds bloody exciting. And we'll make sure we give that a push across our social media. But we are up to social media. That's right, Lenny. I know you're very impressed with that, mate. You mishear me. Social media, where we bring you the questions from the fans. You've heard enough from Dan and I. We put it out to our listeners this morning. And I tell you what, they've come back with a fair bit to offer, got to be honest. Are you ready for this, Lenny? Could be some real hard hitters in here, mate.
Born ready.
Now, let's start with Matty O'Donoghue.
Okay.
Hello, Matthew.
Is the 6 you hit against the wild thing the biggest you've ever hit?
Yeah, I think so. It come up 121 on that measurement thing, but I call bullshit on that. It's gone about 140.
The roof stopped it. Could have gone further.
No, it actually landed over on the outdoor nets. So the groundsman took a photo of it. That's pretty cool.
That's amazing. All right, Jimmy Little.
Best one-liner you've received from an opposition player, and I'm going to throw in from the crowd as well. I know you've had some interactions with the people sitting on the front row there.
Well, I'm actually going to say it's from Dougie Bollinger, only because he's not the sharpest tool. But I tried to hit him out of the stadium once and inside edge it and actually ruptured my testicle. So and the next time I'm playing Dougie, it's quite smart from him. All right, come on, he's only going to take one ball here. That was the first thing he mentioned when I walked out the bat. So off the top of my head, I think that's probably the smartest I've heard.
Were you not wearing a box?
Just a follow-up.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Sorry, mate.
Look, under edge, straight underneath, and I had a bit of a stride, so there was a little gap between bat and pad. And unfortunately.
Does that hurt as much as it sound like it hurt?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you keep playing?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually hit a couple of big dingers after that. And then Brad Haddon, it was a cold night in Brisbane. Brad Haddon was wicket, and I just started sweating. And because, you get hit in that area, 10 minutes, it goes away. It did not go away.
Wow.
I can tell you. I was laying in the training room in the nude, and it took me 45 minutes to try and stand up. That's how bad it was.
All right. I'm sorry.
Anyway, I've sort of got a bit sidetracked there.
No, that's good.
My eyes are just watering. Dylan Hinchcliffe says, why do you think Brendan McCullum has made such a great coach to date?
Just the way his style of coaching. He's so aggressive. Everyone knows how he played the game. He always tried to drive the game. Bit like Darren Lehman. Best form of defense is offense. You guys, what he says, he embraces the young generation coming through in the fact that these guys hit the ball further, they hit it harder, they bowl faster. Not only they bowl faster for longer, not just one spell, they'll do it for 5 spells. But he just gives them the facility to do well. Go out there and play the game. If you're in any doubt, go hard. And I think that's, a great, mindset to be in whatever situation. But like what Ben Stokes said, if they're up 2-1 in the Ashes and it's in the 5th test, what's going to happen? Are they just going to nut it out for a draw and win the Ashes, or are they going to keep coming at us? So it's going to be interesting viewing.
Yeah, very much so. Richie N5.
Who's your bunny?
And you said you're honest. Make sure you name someone.
My bunny, I've got 3 Big Bash wickets. I got Coulton Isle out in the Big Bash final, and in the semi-final I got Ben Rohrer and some bloke that goes all right, Aaron Finch.
Wow, you've got to be absolutely giving it to him. Surely you're sending them off.
They were all caught on the boundary. That
doesn't matter.
Oh, that's unreal. What about go on, Gavin Harris, 87.
Being packaged as a big hitter or T20 specialist only, was that something that you predominantly have done to yourself, or was that the way Cricket Australia wanted you packaged? If so, did you stop your red ball pursuits by choice, or were you pushed?
We sort of touched on it, but that's probably more direct.
Sort of touched on it, but no, I was never pushed. I'm a fully grown man. Make my own decisions. I've been in trouble before, so you're accountable for your own decisions, and those decisions you make, you put your hand up, whether you're right or wrong, you just own it. And that's one thing that we did touch on earlier, genuine, authentic with what I wanted to do. As I said, I copped a lot of flack about it, but I own that space. And I think once I sort of explained my thought process from it, a lot of people come around the other side. I guess they just wanted to see me play all formats, but if I'm not going to do it, if I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. It's pretty simple. And, shooting from the hip is what I love doing in T20 cricket, and it brings a smile on the face. But I like to think some bums on seats, and this journey over the last Big Bash, I'd like to think I've been a big chunk of the blueprint of it.
Cool. Now, we're going to finish off with this one. As usual, Tappy95 says, before belting big sixes in the Big Bash, how does Linny like his eggs cooked? Sincerely, the Eggman.
Eggman's definitely poached.
Oh, he's a poached man. Okay.
Are
Very
you poaching
good.
them yourself?
Yeah. Oh, mate, that's what Uber Eats is for.
You're not ordering poached eggs off Uber Eats.
No, that's what a cafe is. But that's what Carly, my partner, says it all the time. Why don't you cook? Like, well, when you just get it off Uber Eats, they're going to cook it better than what I'm going to do it. I can just put it in that brown paper bag so I don't have to clean, and it's done. Hello. And I'm very time poor, as you can see.
Mate, we do appreciate your time today. You've been extremely generous. That's us done and dusted, mate. Have you had fun?
Mate, absolute pleasure. I look forward to hearing a bit of feedback.
That's good. I'll make sure I sign up to Playbook. Maybe Dan can sign up and teach some kids how to bowl 5 or 16. I don't know. We've got a big thank you for all of our partners, all of our sponsors, Swimply, Whippersnapper Whisky, Margaret River Roasting Co, BlueBet, Shelter Brewing Co, and, of course, Leadable Cameras. And a big thank you to our partners for 2023 season, Fleet Network, powering BackChat. Stick around, patrons. Lynny's got one more story for us just after this. If you're not a patron, you can sign up on the website, backchatpodcast.com.au.